It's 7:02 PM. We'll call the regular meeting of the Helotes Economic Council, Economic Development Commission to order. The first thing we have is a public hearing on the budget. Do we have anyone here who wishes to address the budget?
No, Mr. President.
No comments, so the public hearing is open and closed at 7:03.
Who puts that budget together for us? Jim?
Staff.
Rick and Jen?
The budget?
The twins over there?
Okay, and we have no, do we have any citizens to be heard?
No, sir.
Items 4 and 5 are the consent agenda, approval of the minutes of the regular EDC meeting dated July 18th, and approval of the EDC FYE 2018 revenue and expenditures balance sheet and encumbrance reports dated August 10th. Do we have any discussion on that? All in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
Okay, passes.
Can I have a motion in a second?
Yeah. I move that we approve the agenda and the minutes from the last meeting and the financials presented at that meeting.
And I second that motion.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 6 is discussion and action on amendments to Article 10 of the Board of Directors, restated and amended Articles of Incorporation dated June 25th, 2015, modifying residency requirements for EDC directors. Could we have a motion to discuss, please?
I second.
Moved and seconded. Little background about that, if you look at item 6, we had proposed at the last, or meeting before last, we passed at the last meeting, I guess, the highlighted items on the first page of that. And the council did not vote on it, but it was clear that the council was not going to pass the changes, so rather than do anything else, we're trying to keep a little diversity in the board, but keep the majority of the members as citizens of the city of Helotes. Glenn and I changed it again, where it would just read, if you go to page 4 of 7, go back a couple of pages further ahead. No,
She's on it.
That's the original.
no, go ahead to
And
page
turn-
4 of 7
Turn
behind
two
that.
pages,
Okay. Oh, this one.
and it's the last paragraph.
So what we're proposing to, the mayor was not open to changing anything basically, but I would like to propose that we leave the wording just the way it was and change it to where we could have no more than 3 directors who may reside outside the city. That would leave us with 4 members who are residents of the city, which is a majority in any instance, unless one of them could be absent, and then you would could end up with a tie. We've got an odd number. It's kind of strange. We've got 7 members. Normally, you have 5 members in the president, or 7 members in the president and the president, where you don't have the potential to have an automatic tie on everything you vote on. But that's, regardless, that's the way we're set up. And we would change this last change on it. The president does not vote unless there's a tie. The board makes a decision without the
So you're good
president's voting.
you're good on an odd number, 5, 7, 9, whatever, you know.
Yeah, so now you've got 6 members and the president, but just a little different than most things are set up, but it doesn't matter.
Could I
y'all-
ask?
Any points of discussion on this? Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, I was going to ask, why did you want to lower the number? Lower the number of citizens.
We never intended to lower it. The old set of bylaws before this original bylaws didn't have any requirement that you be a citizen. It was revised in 2015. And,
Members, can I ask that y'all put the mics closer to your mouths? I'm sorry, but the councilman is having a hard time hearing.
Sorry, Steve, my hearing's not as good as it used to be.
Well, basically, what I was asking is, why are y'all proposing that 3 instead of 2 directors could reside outside the city?
well, at present, we have 4 directors residing outside the city.
Okay,
And those people were appointed prior to these changes going in.
okay. But don't the bylaws state that there are only 2 can
Right.
reside?
I'm proposing to change it to 3 so we could get some more business people. Get a couple of business people on the council that actually own businesses in the city. Although they don't reside here, they are property owners and business operators.
So,
And the council may not approve it anyway.
well, but as I understand, there are already 2 applicants for the Economic Development Corporation, the board, citizens that do reside in the city. Now,
Well,
is that
there's-
correct?
If I remember right from going through this, there's only 1 that applied for the EDC that lives in the city. The other applicants were applying for other boards.
Okay,
See, currently, before you and Bill joined us, Pat was the only one that is a resident of Helotes. Because technically Kathy is not, correct?
Right, Kathy lives in the ETJ.
Kathy lives in the ETJ. I am not a Helotes resident, and Joel is not a Helotes resident, but he owns a business in Helotes.
Neither is Wayne Stacy now. He's moved over by Heben Road.
Right, he has moved out of Helotes.
okay.
And the question is to take it from 2 to 3.
Right. And that's totally up to y'all to decide. That's just was my suggestion on it.
I've got, not knowing what I'm doing, but I've got questions on how it's worded. And she brought up, one of the questions here again is she doesn't live there in the ETG jurisdiction district. And it can be simplified quite a bit.
Hey, Bill, would you move your microphone down a little? Thank you.
And the wording where it says in Northwest Barrett County, technically, that's not defined. That could be anything north of Highway 90 and west of Interstate 10.
Right.
And that's a lot of geographic area. And my thoughts were that we're trying to find somebody to get on the board that has an interest in developing the construction and the city of Lotus. If you get somebody 30 miles away in another subdivision or something like that, you're not going to get that interest.
Right.
So, and I just feel that it should be, whether it's done here or next month's meeting, I don't know what the technicalities are there, but I've got a proposal here to change the wording that I think would clear up the misunderstanding of ETG, or the jurisdiction. And it doesn't state on there anywhere where you're doing a preference. You're not giving a preference to anybody. Everybody's equal. The 7 people on this board should be all equal. Nobody should be given a preference because they live here or live there. And if you define it correctly, then people that put the people forth on the board are the ones that are going to vote on the board, and that's here and the city council. So they're really trying to find people as to preference to be city or preference to be this or preference to be that isn't necessary, because the people who are going to make the decision is this board and the city council. And if they want a person and he meets the requirements of being in the EJT and in the city, or an employee or own a business in the city, they should be eligible to be there. So like I said, I've got copies of this if anybody wants to look at it, if it's legal to look at it tonight, or I'll make a motion to, we
I guess we can, it's,
take this to everybody and go further, but.
We're
I mean,
having an open
you know,
discussion on it.
If you can look at it and read, Lynn's seen it, I made a few modifications on it, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, on what I've got, but,
Do you have a copy of that, sir?
yes, I do.
Do you have multiple copies, or can I make a?
I've
make
got
a-
copies for everybody.
Certainly
If you
proper
want,
to,
if you want to just take a look at it and then, say yes or no, whatever you want to do. Should be enough copies for everybody.
Thank you.
I got enough? And like I said, I'm not an attorney or anything like that, but got ambiguous things. Nobody can tell me what Northwest San Antonio is, or Northwest Bexar County. This would define Northwest Bexar County. Somebody's cell phone?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
I didn't bring mine, so.
it's never caused any problems before.
Not mine.
Let's put away.
Turn mine off to check.
I don't know if mine's ever been off.
I didn't bring mine.
Close mine. They're all closed on Sunday.
Mine's not on. Okay.
He's messing with the inputs.
Okay.
Okay, so you're saying that at least 5 members must reside in the city of Helotes or
Or
have
the-
a current business within the city of Helotes.
Or in the ETJ.
Also say,
Northeast, northwest Bexar County is defined by those zip codes. So if you're a citizen of Lotus, or you live in those zip codes, which are listed, we could add or subtract, that's northwest Bexar County, there's no conflict. It's not saying anybody's going to get voted because their preference of here or there. And you have 5 directors. Now, the word here is that we're still living this at 2. You want to change it to 3, you can change it to whatever you want. But if you read it this way, all the definitions have been defined.
My zip code is not one of your 4.
That is correct.
No, my zip code is not one of your 4.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I understand.
4.
Now, I've also got 2 things down there. One being you live in 5-3,
Oh, okay.
grandfather it. You could grandfather it, throw it away, you do whatever you want. Or you can add another zip code. But again, the idea, my thought was that it was trying to get those people interested in the Lotus. Now, she's very interested in the Lotus, and I'm sure other people are. You don't want to knock your opportunities of people serving. My idea as an outsider.
Well, the council's objection to it was having non-residents, period.
Non-residents of Lotus.
Right.
Having a majority of non-residents.
Or, yeah, having at least 5 be residents of the city of Helotes.
And I can appreciate that sentiment.
Well, that's what it says here. Mine says at least 5 as the city of Helotes.
Or,
Business.
or be a current business owner within the city of Helotes.
Right.
I think someone that owns a business in the city of Helotes, their interest is as vested as someone who lives in the city of Helotes.
Correct. I understand that. I mean, I support that.
Yeah.
That this says you gotta be a citizen of Helotes, live in the 4 counties in northwest Bexar County, and you can be in the I don't know why I'm having trouble doing that, but external jurisdiction or own a business in Lotus. But all it's doing, it's putting the zip codes in there. Basically, it says this is what we determine as northwest Bexar County. So if somebody comes in here, down there in the Edison district, which would still be northwest Bexar County if you split the city up into 4 sections, they wouldn't be eligible. That's just,
But what if they own a business?
if they own a business, that's gonna give them priority over that.
My impression right now is that the city will not pass this way if you've got it. Like it's saying
Okay.
5 members have to be either residents or business owners in the city. I don't have a
Isn't that what they
problem.
wanted?
No, they wanted residents of the city only.
Residents of the city only.
Right.
They didn't want a business
Can't
owner.
hear.
They wanted, they,
Oh,
It's picking your voice up, but the static I had to turn down, so the volume is down.
okay. The city council basically said they wanted it to have 5, at least 5 of the board members be residents of the city of Helotes.
That wouldn't be,
Not include business owners unless
Business
they
owners.
live within the city limits.
you're leaving it open for only 2 other people to be on the board that are, own a business in Helotes.
Right, and there has to be a slot come open before they could.
Right. And that's not a change from the way it's written now. In other words, you're saying in the top paragraph up there, must be 5 directors, the resident of Helotes, or current business owners within the city of Helotes. That's where it reads right now.
Now, the way,
Top paragraph on my page there. I didn't change that, did I?
I don't think the current business owners,
Yeah, it says, right here on your page 4-7, we're studying tonight, change, is given priority to residents of Lotus, EJ, or Northwest Bexar County. However, at least 5 directors must be residents of the city of Lotus, current business owners within the city of Lotus, or current city. So you're not changing that. There's no change.
This is a revision already.
This is what we're doing.
That,
No,
that was proposed,
Yeah, that was proposed.
that
this is
wasn't passed.
proposed.
Right.
yeah,
Wasn't
the
passed.
original,
So the
That's the one
original's
they,
not in
that's the
here.
one they rejected.
the
actually-
original wording,
The original
Is-
wording is what's on that page 4 of 7, it just says 2, and I was proposing to change it to 3. The rest of it is the wording the way it is now.
Last page in that
Because we
agenda
have three.
item.
I'm looking at 4-7.
Last page on that agenda item. So thumb to the last page.
That's page of what?
That
It-
agenda- yeah, he's
Under
looking at
item
it,
6, go to the last page.
Page,
Okay, keep 2 pages, turn 2 pages, and the very bottom, very last paragraph of that page. No, one more, turn. That last paragraph,
this is the way it actually reads right now.
it reads 2 right now, where it's red. I don't think you can.
No, this is, I've got mixed up here. This is not. I had this out here, and then, but if I don't go to 4-7. So I don't go to 4-7.
You sure don't?
You don't have that page?
No.
I have that somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, so here it is here. And right now it reads two.
Right, that's what I'm looking at.
Here's the page.
Here's a copy.
Thank you.
So it's that very next paragraph.
Now, this doesn't say anything about the own a business in the Lotus.
No, it doesn't mention it.
Okay. Now, city council wants that, or they don't want that?
No, that was my proposal. I
Okay.
would like to have business owners in the city of Helotes
Okay.
on the Economic Development Commission.
Gotcha.
And we have one.
Y'all
Well, we
approve?
have,
Didn't y'all approve at the last meeting?
Yes, but the council didn't approve it. The council
Oh,
has
they
to
didn't?
approve it.
Okay.
and right now, according to the way it is currently written, there's three of us that don't fit in this guideline, that have been on this board for 2 years, 3 years?
Well,
Since 2015.
Yeah.
2015, basically.
3 years. So three of us do not fit into that.
Yeah.
Actually,
Current category.
four.
Right, They're
Well,
in,
now
they're
with
in the
Wayne.
zip code, but they're
Wayne,
not in the
yes.
city of
Right.
San Antonio. They live in
We live in
03.
San Antonio.
They live in 03, 203, 78023.
Right,
Two of the
but not
four
in the
live in
city limits.
78023, but they're still in our, not in the corporate city limits.
Right, that's what it
They're in the E ETJ.
says. Well, I thought the ETJ was part of the area that you wanted to put them in, give them ability to serve.
But nothing passed, so
Okay,
it's all up, we're back just to the way it reads.
Yeah, because it has that not more than 2 directors may reside outside the corporate city limits. That's the caveat in that. It does describe that it's City of Helotes, the ETJ, and/or Northwest Bear County. However, not more than 2 directors may reside outside the corporate city limits, and 3 of us currently do not reside.
As the, you're allowed.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to interrupt. I was not in favor of the council's decision that was made last Thursday. And what I don't understand about how everything was done was why we would limit business owners and just have to make it, just 5 residents of Helotes. I mean, there's an issue right now. We barely had a quorum tonight. Is that correct? Am I
yeah,
wrong
one,
about-
one,
Okay. And
3 members.
now, Bill, you've done good work, yeoman's work here. It's all good. But I don't understand, the council member brought up the fact that, just because you're a business owner, that's why a lot of people left in the old days. I mean, like Mr. McKinney over there, he said it was, every decision that they made was because of Flores Country Store or whatever. But I don't think that's what we need to do here tonight. I think you guys have a good plan. And I guess I need to try to bring it back to city council and let them understand that, hey, look, business owners, it's the EDC. We need to have business owners here and be on the board. Philip wanted to be, Philip
Philip Mineo, owner of
wanted
Wine
to be
101.
on. He's one of our biggest, owners up there in Old Town. And I think he should have some say in what's going on with the EDC. But I don't, I'm kind of, I don't understand how, 5 directors here, and then you have 2 directors have to be in this, have to be in the city limits. I don't get it. I think we're overthinking it. I would bring it back to city council, and hopefully I can, sway people to, get it back to, the original proposal that you guys brought to us. Ask me some questions, so.
And was that original proposal to allow business owners?
Yes, it's what's in yellow on the first page.
Yeah, it's, at least 5 directors must be residents of the city. of Helotes are current business owners within the city of Helotes. What's wrong with that? But
Nothing.
I don't think there is either. I mean, how else can you do it? I mean, what else, how else can you do it? Okay, you find me some more residents that want to be on this board.
Find more residents that don't have the passion for someone that doesn't live here.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Because I
and then
had
no
involved
more,
in
see,
this
it's
for
kind of,
20 years.
it's kind of, it doesn't make any sense. And then it says not more than 2 directors may reside outside the corporate city limits. It really is kind of fighting each other, doesn't it?
Well, that was removed on our proposal.
Yeah, but,
We said at least 5 directors must reside within the city of Helotes or current business owners within the city of Helotes.
but see, that's the problem. What council had problems with current business owners. If they're not residents, council at that time, not me, but other members of council, including the mayor, were, and he doesn't vote, I understand that, but they had a problem with, anybody outside the city, even if they're a current business owner, but if they're outside the city, they didn't want that, because they figured that in the long run, that the whole board could be made up of, non-residents. And I don't think that's possible with the way it's worded.
No, I mean, it can't be, not the way that either one of these is
Now,
worded.
I think there also was an underlying sentiment there from some of the people that business owners, they didn't want business owners on there because they didn't think they could be objective. But they
Well,
cannot.
that's what
they
I was bringing
cannot-
up about I mean, one council member brought up the fact that, yeah, and maybe, when, like Mr. McKinney, I'm sorry to bring him up, but, that's why he got off the EDC, back then, is because they were on him all the time about it. He said every decision you made was just for Old Town.
Well, but a business owner cannot enter into the discussion, even enter into the discussion or vote about anything that affects their business directly.
Well, you have to recuse himself. You're right,
Right,
you're
they
right,
have to
you're right,
recuse
you're right,
themselves.
President, yes.
And
then-
Joel has
and then
done
the-
that
I hate to,
several
this is
times.
another thing I'm trying to get to council. No matter what verbiage you have in here, no matter what verbiage you have in here, the bottom line is, city council has the last say on who gets to be on the board.
Exactly.
I don't understand why we turned it down. Okay,
May I ask a question?
yes, ma'am.
Catherine and I were both voted in at the same time by city council. Neither of us qualify based on these rules.
Well, that was
Okay.
prior to these rules being passed in June of 15. The current rules were changed in June of 15.
June of 15.
But upon
But-
upon reappointment, one person will have to be removed.
1 or 2.
One, well, as it is right now, one.
No, as it is right now, 2 have to get moved.
2.
That's correct. We have
Yes.
4. Well, but recently Wayne's, he just
Right.
moved, so yeah. 2 would then
So-
have to be removed upon reappointment,
Which is.
In
this-
September.
Which is right now.
which is in September, it's either September of this year or September of next year, depending on when you were appointed.
I think, in my mind, I think, I mean, I'm always speaking for myself, but I think council overthought this, and I'm gonna say it again, we have the final say. Council has the final say on who can be appointed to your board.
Right, they have to approve the appointments.
Yes, sir. So, I don't know, you're in a rock and a hard place. I don't know what to tell you guys,
This, what it is,
Do you want me to resign?
What? What did you, no. No. What'd she say? She wants to resign? Ay, ay. No, Diane.
I got that covered down here at that last thing. It says,
But I don't fit.
maybe we can grandfather the deal.
And
Now,
that's
what is
probably
the,
what
what is the
Well, maybe so.
section within the articles
you can't right now.
that you can't change that, or can that be changed?
I'm sorry, I didn't want to get in your business, but I just felt like I needed to speak about it.
Director, I don't understand the question. Can you ask that again, please?
Why does 1 or 2 have to resign or be kicked off in the next year to year and a half?
when they get reappointed, council cannot take action. The only thing council cannot do is take action in violation of the EDC bylaws or articles of incorporation. So, because you currently have 4 members that are not residents within the city of Helotes, 2 of them would have to be removed and replaced with residents upon reappointment, which is in September.
I was
But now-
reappointed in 16
Right, it's every 2 years.
But my question,
after this passed, so I'm kind of confused. So it wasn't looked at in 16.
That is correct.
It was missed.
The bylaws, remember, were adopted in 2015, but it took 2 years for them to be recorded. And so there were a lot of questions at that time. So frankly, we dropped the ball on that. And it should have been addressed in 16. It wasn't.
and there's nothing that could be entered in there as a grandfather clause that would state that current directors can serve for another 2 terms? or-
Changing the bylaws.
Huh? Well, that's what I'm saying.
Change the bylaws.
Okay, change
Yes,
bylaws.
you can, but you would have to change the
Okay.
bylaws. Actually, you would have to change the articles of incorporation.
I mean, and since it's not on the agenda right now, you could do that at the next meeting. Is that correct?
No, this is on the agenda for tonight.
Oh, bylaws changes?
Articles.
Oh,
We've always been talking about articles.
This is the
Sometimes
article.
I'm sorry, I
it's
just needed
bylaws.
to speak, I mean, when you say council and your suggestion, for members, for members on the commission, I mean, I was not in favor of what the council decided. So, I mean, but I'm only one vote.
The
Yeah.
only way it could be avoided would be if we come up with a change and pass it tonight and the council passes it next week, which I don't think there's much chance of.
Sir,
Okay,
I don't know.
what if we take my paragraph? Now, the five directors being residents, everybody agrees upon, right? Pretty well. You want 5 directors that must be residents of Helotes. Is that it? Is that, everybody like that? What's the discussion on that?
Well,
We don't have 5 that are residents of Helotes.
Well, the bylaws right now say we have to.
Have to have 5.
Right, and the only change I was proposing to it was to have 4 residents instead of 5, so we didn't have to let 2 people go up, good people go off the board.
Okay, so if we change it to 4 there, we add on there current business owners, everybody's kind of in agreement there, right?
Not gonna agree to that unless.
I'm not asking what they're gonna do, I was just asking what we want to do, and then let them, they're gonna make the final decision.
I think it should be on there.
Okay, business owners.
I
do too.
believe,
I agree too.
believe very strongly that business owners should be on there.
Okay, so if we put it on there with business owners, and then we say, now, we want 2 directors to reside in the corporate city limits, or we want 3?
Now,
If
I
they want
personally-
3, let's let them have 3.
I personally want 2,
You want 2.
yes,
In the city?
in the city.
2
Well, no,
directors
outside the city.
outside.
may reside outside the corporate city limits.
You're not gonna get it passed unless we might get it to 3, but if you change the verbiage to say citizens of Helotes or business owners in Helotes, it won't pass. Because the business owners are not residents in the city, and council's attitude, they wanna maintain residents of the city as the board member.
Okay, but
I don't understand why they're eliminating the ETJ.
yeah, and
Because we
ETJ
want
should be in there too.
ETJ people to feel like they're part of Helotes,
Right.
correct?
Right. And that's why I went back and put the zip codes in there that would include the ETJ.
Right, and I agree with that.
You've got several of them that aren't in the ETJ.
No, it's
No,
Wayne and I.
All of the ETJ of Helotes is in those 4 zip codes.
I don't think any of it's in 78015.
78015, that's up north of it here. Okay, they might not be anybody in
That's all
ETJ.
east of I-10.
But it's in northwest Bear County. Okay? It's right there in the gray top middle of the county. It's in the, it's gray, it's, what's the franchise?
That's,
Fair Oaks. Isn't that
Fair Oaks
Or-
Ranch.
that's nowhere close to our ETJ.
Does
no,
87023
no, no.
encompass our entire ETJ?
No.
Everybody in the ETJ resides in those four zip codes.
None of the ETJ is in 78015.
I didn't say that. I said it's in one of the four zip codes. All of the ETJ of Lotus, Texas is in one of those four zip codes, or one of those three zip codes. 0615, oh no, wait, 06, 23, and 255.
Those three, I think, encompass all the ETJ.
Right.
Remember, our ETJ goes all the way down to Gulm Road.
That's
Well,
Ground
this-
Road. 203 goes into the next county, folks.
78254 is
Yeah.
in our ETJ.
Yeah,
Right.
54 is.
54, some of the residents are actually 54, aren't they?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay?
yeah.
Then we go down below and we take 5-4 and we move it up to the top paragraph and you've
Okay.
taken care of that. And if you want to get real particular and take care of our fellow board member here, you go down there to 5-3 right now and move it up in there.
Well, I would want to take that 78015 out. Because no one from Fair Oaks is.
Okay, that's fine.
That's
Take
not
So
even close to
replace
this.
15 and put
Take 1-5
54 in.
and we'll put 5-4 and 5-3 in there. And that covers all the, that covers all the deal. The only thing the city's got, the only thing now, the city's got the council is to, we gotta sell them on, is that we feel that the business owners should be part of the game.
You don't have to sell me, sir.
I know, but I got one more. But you see what I'm saying? Now it's all, they're all covered, right? I don't know.
I'd just like to say one thing, Fair Oaks, part of Fair Oaks is in Bear County, so just,
Yeah, but none of our ETJ is in that area. It's not within 15 miles of Helotes to get to 78015.
but you have to,
No.
in my mind, you have to
All I
remember
did was
that
put that in
all our
there
business,
because I was
all our
trying to
businesses
define
are affected by
what
everything
west of
around
Bear
us,
County
so.
is. If somebody up there lived in there and, that's fine. Now, the only thing we gotta make sure of is that if a guy owns a business in Lotus, that's gotta give him preference over living in one of those zip codes.
I think this should read, at least 5 directors must be residents of the city of Helotes and the ETJ or be a current business owner within the city of Helotes.
Good.
I like that.
Because to me, the ETJ is very important to the growth of the
I
city.
agree with you 100%.
So that just leaves me as the odd man out, and I can be
But
number
we-
7 and
But
still be
we
okay.
flipped you
Oh,
in there.
yeah.
But we flipped you in there if we put the zip code 78253 in there. And it's still in northwest Bear County.
Yeah, 78253 is kind of out of the,
Well, that's
out
where
of
you
the
live, isn't it?
zone. It's where I live, but,
Well, they rejected it when we said 5 directors must be residents of the city of Helotes or current business owners.
right,
And they're not gonna pass it if you
the ETJ in there?
just put ETJ in there.
I think you've got to have 4 residents, and then the 3 may be business owners or live in the
ETJ.
ETJ.
Okay. We're gonna put, I got 4 there, and then resident, business, or 3 there, okay?
I don't know when Joel comes up.
Got it?
He's up now.
Joel, Wayne, and Kathy. I think.
Well, Kathy was appointed the same time I was, but she was appointed to originally a 2-year. I was appointed to a 1-year.
You give me,
That's right, she failed to get over.
Uh-huh.
Wayne
And then I've
filled-
been
Wayne filled
reappointed
out-
once
Wayne filled out one.
for a 2-year, I believe.
now, 5, 6.
Sir, I don't have that in front of me. I don't know when y'all were appointed or not.
Did you bring it with you?
I didn't, but I know Joel and Wayne.
Okay, now we got
I thought Catherine was the 3rd.
I think Catherine and I are November, and she was 2-year, I was originally 1-year.
That would put you on different dates.
Right,
Well, how many do you have up this year?
Well, I'm gonna be up in November.
No, it's not November, it automatically goes to October first.
Oh, okay, so I'm next year technically.
Where is 78256? That's where Wayne now lives.
That's way over there.
Road
Yeah,
down on 10.
yeah, that's way, that's a
Way
ways.
down
Yeah, that's stretching it even more than me.
there. Yeah.
We looked at the expiration from when everybody was appointed last week. The ones that are up this year are Kathy, Wayne, Joel, and Diane. The other three are up next year.
there's only 3 up this year. The other 4 are all together. It's 4 and 3. It's 3 this September.
Which one of those four we're talking about is not up this year?
You think it's
Don't quote
me?
me, I think you're the one not up.
Okay.
I think it's Wayne, Joel, and Kathy. I know Wayne and Joel for
Now,
sure.
the only one that wouldn't be covered under this, what we just did, would be Wayne, right?
Wayne and Joel, the way it is now, Wayne and Joel and Kathy, two of the three have to go.
Now, why they have to go?
Because their term's up and they don't meet the amended,
Why don't they meet this?
because
talking about
they
his-
don't, they're non-residents. And right now it reads you can only have 2 non-residents. So when the council reappoints people, they cannot appoint someone in violation of the bylaws.
I understand.
Articles of
They can appoint
incorporation.
one of them.
One of the three.
One of
Two
the three can stay.
have to go.
And they're not
Okay,
residents of what?
just for clarification, you have Joel, Wayne, and Diane up in September of 2018.
Oh, so I am, my neck is on the block.
Yeah,
And why are not, they're not residents? Are they in the ETJ? ETJ?
Joel,
I don't know where Joe lives.
17802-3.
Can't be too far away. He still lives in 203.
Oh.
Yeah, but
023.
Well, then he should,
I got him down there at the bottom of that page I gave you. For address.
I believe Joel is a resident of the city of San Antonio.
Says a Lotus.
Well,
New
we got-
Kurt,
a lot of
Lotus?
people in San Antonio have a Helotes zip code.
Oh, what's the number ranch?
They think they live in Helotes, but they don't.
that's splitting hairs. Their physical address is Helotes. I would say he lives in Helotes.
Well, they don't pay taxes, though. There is the big difference.
That's a big difference.
I mean, we could eliminate all of us if we split enough hairs.
Okay, as I'm seeing it, the real issue that we would like to overcome is allowing business owners on the board. Is that
ETJ.
ETJ.
ETJ?
Residents of the E ETJ.
No problem there.
Okay, and as it reads now, it's still, they can be ETJ and/or
Well,
Northwest Bear County.
That's what we proposed, they turned down.
Right. This- they
Current-
turn this
currently
down.
two
Okay.
mem-
This other one.
Currently, 2 members of the EDC can be residents of anywhere in Bear County. Five members have to be residents of the city of Helotes.
Anywhere in Bear County or the northwest part of Bear County?
Anywhere in Bear County.
But it
State
says-
law says that anywhere in membership of an EDC can be anywhere within the municipality's county.
Okay. But now, if we put the zip codes in there, we could limit that down to the zip codes that are in a Lotus
Well,
jurisdiction?
rather than do that.
certainly-
just
yes,
say-
you certainly
just say
could.
the ETJ. Mm-hmm. You can do that.
Well-
And that would encompass the other two.
Which if you put the zip codes in there, you got it defined as to where.
But a bunch of those zip codes aren't in the ETJ.
Don't have to be, as long as the EKG is in those zip codes, in one of those zip codes, which they are.
Well, but the purpose is to limit it to ETJ only. Not everybody is in that zip code that isn't in the ETJ below us.
We're gonna add that with that is in the, or in the ETJ.
But we know where the ETJ is.
Right, right.
When people apply, we can look at the map and see.
Right, I mean. Okay. Let me read these. Each director, first and foremost, must be a resident voter and resident of Bear County, Texas. Furthermore, the director must live in one of the following zip codes within Bear County: 06, 023, 255, 253, 254. In addition to the above, at least 4 directors must be residents of the city of Lotus and the ETJ, now we can put of a Lotus or not, or a current business owner within the city of Lotus, and not more than 2 or 3, whatever you all come with. Directors may reside outside the corporate limits of the city of Lotus.
I don't wanna have it down to just two citizens either,
Okay, then we'll put 3 on there.
4.
And we'll put 4,
Want to leave a majority of the board be residents.
what,
of
4,
the city.
no, 4 directors of the city of Lotus?
Right.
That's what I said, 4.
No, 4 have to be residents of the city, within the corporate city
At least
limits.
4 directors must be residents of the city of Lotus and are a current business owner. No, okay,
Residents of the city of.
Period.
Within the corporate city limits of Lotus.
okay, period.
Okay, so do you think, Mr. President, that your alteration of going from 2 to 3 will go by city council?
Don't know. Go to the meeting and talk to them about it, but I don't know if it'll pass or not.
Because this is the least impactful change
Right.
to the current, the way it currently reads. It's changing the word 2 to 3.
That's why I went back to just that. But
To simplify it for them.
But you still after the business owner and the ETJ to be incorporated in this statement.
I think President Wooten's point is that those would be incorporated into 3. So if you keep it to where you have to have 4 that are residents of the city of Helotes.
Right.
That leaves you with 3 left, and 3 essentially could
Could be from any one of those areas.
anywhere in the county.
Gotcha.
And they could also be Helotes business owners or things of that sort. Am I correct on that?
yes, I don't think we'll get anything more than that passed. We'll get that passed. And what we had talked about, rather than, and the mayor's idea, and he was right on some of it, rather than distilling this down to the point that it is that restrictive, as the board now pass a policy that describes, that puts the other elements in there. Residents of the 3 non-members, by policy of the board, the qualification will be residents of the ETJ or business owners within the city of Helotes.
That's fine.
Rather than making a bunch of changes to the bylaws, because in 2, 3 years or 4 years, there may be a whole new board in here that's got a different attitude.
Okay, now, how do we, to make this legal, how do we do this? We rewrite this up, we email it to ourselves, or what do we do? I mean, are we table it until next meeting, or what?
You can take action on this tonight if you want to keep the the revised proposal of 3.
Right,
Now, I will say that doing that, you're still going to have 1 member of the board that has to be removed, just so everybody's aware.
Okay, now, but here again, now, what we're changing is 3 directors, and 3 directors may reside outside the corporate limits of the city.
right.
And, okay, and then at least 4 directors must be residents of the city of Lotus.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, where do we add in there, and what, y'all can add it in, whatever, we need to add in there that they can be a current business owner of a Lotus, and they can live in the ETJ.
I think that
That's what we're talking about doing as a policy, rather than putting it in the Articles of Incorporation.
it's, if you change it to where 3 members can be, do not have to be residents of the city of Helotes. Those 3 members could be business owners within the city of Helotes or residents within the ETJ without having to spell it out
Good.
as specifically as you have stated.
That's fine, that's,
But we can do it by a policy.
okay. Okay, that's fine.
I guess we can do, we're doing a binding policy for the ETJ, but,
You're doing a binding policy only for the board of directors, not for
For-
city council.
right, not for the city council.
Yes.
They can still
Shoot a scout.
choose somebody else.
And they can,
They can
anybody out they
choose-
want.
They can do anything they want to within the way this is written.
okay. So 4 directors, 3 directors outside the city limits.
You have
Ready
a
for
motion?
that?
a
I so
motion
move.
To that effect?
I so move.
Have
I
a
second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'll go with aye. Aye.
You go with aye, okay. Passes unanimously. This is,
You're going with,
Aye.
you're in favor.
Yeah.
Okay.
this is one of the things I don't like, is when we have a meeting where we've only got 3 board members instead of 5 or 6. But just
So you're just
happens.
telling me it's your idea and we'll go on.
No, no. All right, item 7 is discussion and action on an agreement to provide professional consulting and related retail recruitment services between the EPC and Retail Strategies LLC dated October 1st.
I move that we,
No, we have to have a motion to discuss first.
that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay,
Second her motion.
all right, move to second to discuss.
Yes, I move we discuss.
All right,
I second it.
all right, moved and seconded. You have a comment?
May I,
Question?
may I address some things,
Yeah.
Chair? Okay. What we're talking about tonight is the current agreement with Retail Strategies, which is a third-party consultant whose main job was to recruit retail here into the city of Helotes. In the 3 years that we have contracted with them, they have not provided any direct relocation, or they haven't provided any businesses in Helotes, basically.
Cut to the chase.
Yeah.
By
There
the
you
way,
go.
Stevie and I were both here for their presentation last week.
Okay.
last meeting.
This, what we're recommending tonight is that the board agree to not renew their contract when it is up. It's up September 30th of 2018. We've already paid the money, so you might as well keep it for the remaining month and a half. But we would recommend that y'all take official action to not renew the agreement. One thing that we'd like to do in its place, and we've talked with President Wooten about this, is look, the idea of this, I think, makes sense. It makes sense to have somebody who's a broker out there that knows the lingo, knows how these people communicate, and has the education behind it to do this type of thing. What doesn't make sense potentially is us paying a lump sum up front for it and then hoping that they bring something in return. President Wooten originally had proposed doing something on a commission basis, where as people bring or relocate businesses here, we would pay them a certain commission. I'm not sure if that's feasible or not. I mean, I know it's feasible, but I'm not sure if anybody will bite, essentially. So what we're currently doing is drafting up a request for qualifications and a proposal for commercial brokers out there to be able to submit a statement of qualifications to us to see what they would offer, whether they would want something, a lump sum per contract, or if they would want a certain percentage of whatever's coming in. But it would be That would then give us the ability, before we contract with anybody else, if we decide to do that, to look at what their proposals are. And we'd like to have that proposal out by the end of, hopefully this month. Let it be out there for 30 to 60 days, and then see what applications come in, or what statements of qualifications come in for y'all's review.
Now, that would be open to anybody that wanted to participate, just not this company.
It would be open to anybody with a Texas
License and-
commercial, we haven't gotten the technicalities of this yet, but it would essentially be a Texas realtors or brokers license
Okay.
that deals in commercial real estate.
So we could advertise citywide or statewide.
We would put it out statewide, essentially. You'll most likely get only people from the regional area that would.
You're going to get a broader, more salesmen out there trying to sell
Yes, sir.
something.
And then whether it comes to choosing one or multiple, that would be a decision of the board of directors, or not doing anything would be a decision of the board of directors.
Agreed.
But we've never tried that to see if there are people out there that are willing to work for a commission or something after they've brought somebody here. So we'd like to try that.
Sounds good. I really like that idea, because we spent a lot of money on retail strategies, and to be honest with you, I have not been impressed in the 3 years they've been in place.
And we understand that. We were hopeful our first year.
We really just paid them 2 years, right?
No, we paid them for 3.
We hadn't paid them for next year yet.
No, it was a 3-year contract. This is the 3rd year. So if y'all are generally in favor of that, I would ask that y'all take action tonight to not renew the contract so that we have that on the record, and then we'll release the RFQ and bring that back to y'all once we start receiving applications.
Motion to not renew the contract with
Yes,
Strategies.
I would love to make the motion that we do not renew the contract with Retail Strategies.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we do not renew the contract with Retail Strategies when it comes up for renewal at the end of September, correct?
Yes, sir.
September 30th.
September.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay, and we've got, I guess, the review of the budget basically is the next item. We'll turn that over to Rick and Glenn. We've got,
Section 8.
Set of sheets here that shows us years past plus the proposed budget. Do you want to cover that, Rick, or Glenn?
Glenn's taking the lead.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of run down it line item by line item. If you want me to go over the projected year end, we can hit that first. Obviously, initially, we only put in the budget 852,000, and right now it looks like we may be around 1.2 million in sales tax revenue. And I can say the majority of that increase is for BMC millwork.
BMC. That's what I thought.
And then there's another subsequent line item for 380 agreement reimbursement, and you'll see why that price went up because of the BMC or expenditure. We have mixed beverages, year end at 9,302. And then interest, obviously, on
I
our,
want to ask a question, what's mixed beverages?
that's about, do what? Yeah, I believe it was about 2 years ago, the state changed the tax on
Okay.
alcoholic consumption.
Separated the tax.
It used to be just a mixed beverage tax, not a sales tax, and they added a sales tax component to it. So now we collect
Okay.
And that's
because of our
for-
half cent.
That's for on-premises sales only.
True.
Okay.
Doesn't apply to buying beer or wine at the Stop and Go, just if you go to Wine 101 or Pete's Place, Mad Dog's, one of those places that has beer and liquor by the drink, they charge it for the sales tax on that. This is, it's called mixed beverage tax. So
And I wasn't planning to review all of the projected year-end expenditures, just the ones that may be abnormally high, and that really is the 380 reimbursement, and that's near the bottom of page 2. And you can see it's anticipated to be $423,000.
And you said that is because of BMC.
It is.
Well, there are several companies that this, or developments that the EDC has 380 agreements with. Slim Chickens, West, and DNA Partners was the redevelopment of the center across the street. Happened a long time ago after the fire. All of those are incorporated into this figure, but that 99% of this is related to back to them for 75% of the sales tax that they're producing.
But look at what happened to our revenue because of them, so. Very understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's not any other questions on the projected year end, I will go line item by line item on the proposed for 2019.
I will say that projected year end, we're projecting 100,000 revenues ahead of expenditures by the end of this fiscal year. So if you look, that does increase the fund balance for next year to about 904,000 that we would start off with.
So right now, we're anticipating sales tax revenue at the 1.2 million. Similar mixed beverage. There's been no new facilities. And then keeping the same on the interest on our reserve funds.
Rates are increasing. So that's gonna be a
So
good
it's
thing.
Increase from 2,300 to 60. It's gone up a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
know what interest
But
rate.
a lot of it is correct, because interest rates just keep going up.
Interest rates are gonna go up for a little while yet.
We make a little bit of money.
So what we have done in the past, and what I like to do, is to be conservative of both revenues and expenditures. So we're transferring projected year end to next fiscal year as revenues, and for a lot of these for expenditures, knowing full well that sales tax revenues will increase next year. We just don't know by how much.
True.
And so before we get a few more years under our belt, particularly with BMC, I don't know kind of what their fluctuations look like. So that's why we're just transferring everything from what we're projecting at the end of this year to next year, because we feel comfortably safe that those numbers are not going to go down.
Right.
Especially with a lot of new sales tax producing businesses that are located and are planning to be open in the next 6 months. As far as the expenditures, you've got the contractual services, membership dues, licenses. That has gone up, and we're anticipating close to 16,000. Majority of that is for it's LoopNet and CoStar. CoStar property database for all the commercial properties, and then right now, if Rick wouldn't mind loading up the EDC website, available properties, we could show you on LoopNet a service that we've been trying out. Provides any user to go to our website and find available commercial properties within Helotes. Right now, it's showing all of Bexar County. We're also working on trying to get that geographically targeted just for the Helotes and ETJ. Obviously, the audit fees just went up by $100. Anticipated, we should be getting. Do you have a contract? We should be getting a contract here pretty soon. School seminars and conferences, maintaining relatively similar at 3,000. We have our International Council of Shopping Centers. We go to 2 events a year. There's one up in Dallas, which they've actually just moved to Fort Worth, and then we have one up in Las Vegas at Recon. The one in Fort Worth is a regional show, so it's all of the developers and prospects looking to develop in Texas. Where Vegas, obviously have the entire country, but you tend to get the hotels that don't come to the Texas show.
Just to tag on to that, if you'll notice at the beginning of this year for both school seminars, conferences, and international conference of shopping centers, we had budgeted 12,000. I know people, a lot of times they tie on to the word Las Vegas, but if you look what we've actually spent is about $6,000. So about half of that budgeted amount. The majority of that is travel to Las Vegas because airfare is not cheap anymore. Rooms are actually very cheap in Las Vegas. But the biggest part of that would be, I believe, the exhibition space that we have at the Dallas show. We don't exhibit at Las Vegas. It's just, it's a national conference. At the regional show, it makes sense for us to exhibit because that's where more of the San Antonio brokers and developers are going to that show, trying to bring businesses into their particular areas. So, yes, we're budgeting 12,000 again for next year, unless Glenn has something up his sleeve that I don't know about yet. We typically do not spend the full $12,000 on conferences and seminars. I just want to make that point.
And then we always have money outlined for legal fees. And we're putting it what we plan to spend this year at the $3,442. Conceptual land use planning. Originally this year we had budgeted close to 100,000, which we haven't used. I believe we spent about 4,500, or will have after this next pay period. Okay. And this honestly is what we've selected, some of the prime commercial properties around Helotes that's available. And in order to help us sell the project, we've created some visuals, some architectural renderings. We have site plans, and then we have these videos created, which it worked on his computer earlier. I always tend to have difficulties on this one. And so for next year, we just put a line item in for 25,000 that could help us do any type of land use planning or conceptual design work. Okay. Workshops and promotions would be if we're hosting or co-hosting, sponsoring educational workshops for the local business owners. Marketing. Historically, we've never spent 35,000. We just put it in the budget to give us the ability if we need to. Never know when we're going to run out of our marketing materials, brochures, and we have to go to reprint. We tend to print, at least 1,000 of everything up front. And then we've got website development, 8,000 in there, and that's kind of what we need to make a few changes to our Helotes EDC website. We also have another website, shophelotes.com. So the EDC maintains two. The Shop Helotes is a business directory site.
Essentially, why don't you describe what Manhart is doing based upon that picture? I can't get the
So the
video.
picture on the screen right now is the corner of Hausman Road and Bandera. It's where the Compass Bank is located, so there's 2.5 acres. We've contracted with Manhart Consulting, an engineering firm here in San Antonio, and they can go in kind of quick, I call it quick and dirty. They can do a site layout, they can put different types of buildings, whether it's a strip center, multi-story, it's a fast casual concept like what's showing here. And then it can go in and calculate parking and egress, ingress. It even generates a pro forma for the developer on site leveling, as well as the impact fees on water and sewer. So we can really effectively market a property and let somebody know what it's gonna cost, to come in on that site. Visuals really are amazing. Everyone that's coming to the office, I have posters built. I was in there the other day and saw posters on the wall with these. Everyone comes in, goes straight to them, asks questions. So now we're getting them uploaded on the website, and then we'll have all the literature available with us when we go to ICSC.
And we've done that for how many sites so far?
5 sites.
So, if I can get my handy computer to work, which I'm gonna be working on it while y'all are going over the rest of it, it's really cool to show you. It actually does flyovers of what the site would look like once it's developed. All of these, of course, are big, wild, hairy guesses, okay? Because because anybody who buys that property, anybody who buys those properties, they can do with it whatever they want to. But this gives them an idea if they wanna put a shopping center there, how much it's gonna cost to develop that site before they really target that site to say, hey, I want this, and try to contract on it. It's essentially what we're looking at there.
So then you'll see our managed service agreement at 5,400. That's our agreement with the city of Helotes to do payroll and bookkeeping services.
Why is that going down?
That's what the contract is for. Last year was 11,000 because we were still officed out of City Hall until the end of February, so we pay
Right,
our
okay.
prorated.
Gotcha.
Debt service, 323,000. The only reason you're seeing more on that line item is it's combined on the debt service, those 2 line items. And that covers our 2007 C of O for the Old Town Helotes Special District project and also the pedestrian bridge. And then you have, we put a line item in for retail recruitment. It was not geared at signing a contract with Retail Strategies at all. We had another company approach us and asked, he understood we had a bad taste in our mouth, honestly, and asked if we gave him 1 year to prove that the concept works, that's what he would charge us. And if, well, I'll talk it over with President Wooten and Rick and see if we want them to come and make a presentation or not at a subsequent meeting.
I really prefer them to make a presentation after we get
The RFP.
the RFQs back, and then we can look at all of them together.
Like that.
And then we have just the office rental, our lease for the EDC offices. The parking lot lease, that's in Old Town Helotes too, with Mr. Terry, Martin Terry. That provides close to potentially, 100 parking spots in Old Town.
What
And
do
then
they, what do they use for?
So, the reason we decided to do it is Mr. Terry was starting to charge all of the other businesses in Old Town for them to park on his vacant piece of property, because there's very little, as Stevie knows, there's very little parking in Old Town, very little street parking, and most of the businesses don't have any parking of their own. So we worked out a deal to where we made a city parking lot, free public parking, outside of floor concerts. That's the only time he closes it down and then charges a fee.
Okay.
And then probably be presenting it at the next meeting, but we put some of our excess revenues into land acquisition. I think the EDC has been a little late to the game as far as acquiring commercial property, but I think it's something we need to consider. Property values tend to not go down in this market. They continually surprising me at how high they can go. But there's a lot of good properties out there, and it could be something we use as an incentive or just something that we maintain control and can sell to a developer. On commodities, office supplies have gone up a little bit, 7,500 projected. We usually don't spend everything we put in the budget. Operational expenses at 7,500 as well. They were a little bit more this last year because that was the renovation of the EDC space. Communication equipment allowance, maintaining, about 1,700. That's for, iPad and cell phone. We've got, expense reimbursement on mileage is what that should be, at 250. And then, obviously, the 380 agreement reimbursement for 423, 554. Go ahead and make our total expenditures proposed at 1.216. So 1,200,000, 216,000. We also put in the capital replacement, which is the funds we're using for the pedestrian bridge in Old Town Helotes. And I'll say on the second page of that, you'll see the EDC, the 2015 CVO expenditures. We're proposing 287,253 in the account. And that should be, without any change orders, that should be what's left on the pedestrian bridge.
I will say that when you look at O3, the capital replacement fund, that's actually a commingled fund. So that has city money in it and EDC money in it. And so that's why you'll see the items for the fire department, the police department, and then everything else is out of that 2015 city certificate of obligation expenditures. So that's why there's other items in there that do not pertain to the EDC. The last thing I'd like, or that I would say, unless there's questions on this, is that the same premise with revenues. So the revenues of BMC, we, again, pulled them over from what we anticipated at the end of this fiscal year. You could also then make the argument that we're potentially underestimating for 380 agreement reimbursements for next year, but it should offset, meaning we're low on revenue, so, and we may be a little high on expenditure, but it should offset and at least maintain a balanced budget at the year end.
Unless there's any questions.
Some of this discussion is for y'all's benefit because we've seen this before, so
And we appreciate it.
what we're spending money on and what we're doing.
We appreciate it.
Diane already knows about it.
She does.
I know.
I think we've done all the damage we can do for the night. That was the last item on the agenda, correct?
Yes, sir.
We will adjourn the meeting at 8:20 PM.